Alright, so now we're going to talk about the Capture API, which can be quite similar to the Camera API. There are a few big differences though. For one, the Capture API can capture not only images but also video and audio. And the Capture API is also based on the W3C Media Capture API, and the Camera API is not. It's been said that the Camera API is mainly around for backward compatibility issues with older applications. Alright, so let's get into some coding. This is just going to be a pretty simple script that's going to allow us to take a picture and upload that picture onto a remote server. We're just going to have a PHP file with 2 lines, basically just moving the image from the temporary source to the remote source. So I'm going to paste in my HTML structure, and all we're going to have in the body is a button. So we're going to have button, it's going to have an on-click handler that goes to the take picture function. Okay. So that's all we need for our HTML. Now we need to create the take picture function. So up between our script tags, we're going to say function take picture, and we're going to say navigator dot device dot capture dot capture image. Alright, so we could also do capture video or capture audio as well. So this is going to take a couple callbacks. I'll say capture success, and we'll say capture error. And you can also take a couple options. We could say limit 2, and what that means is that the API will let us take 2 images in one API call. So that's another difference between the Camera API, but we're just going to leave that. The default is 1, so I want to keep this simple. So the next thing we need to do is we want to create the capture success function. Okay, and the capture success is going to take a parameter called media files. Alright, and in here we're going to say we're going to do a loop. So variable I and len. So we're declaring these 2 variables, I and len, and we're going to say for I is equal to 0. I'm sorry, I need a comma. len is equal to media files dot length. Sorry, length. Media files dot length. And we're going to say I is less than len, and I plus equals 1. So we're going to increment by 1 after every iteration. So what we're doing is we're setting I to 0, we're setting len to the length of the file, so however many files there are, and then we're saying as long as I is less than the amount of files, then we're going to do whatever we're going to do in this loop. And we're also going to increment by 1 after every iteration. So in the loop, we want to call the upload file function, and in that we're going to put in media files and I. Alright, so that's how we make how we can upload multiple images in one single API call. Alright, so the next thing we want to create is the error. So we'll say function capture error, and that's going to take an error object, and let's see, we'll create a variable called message. We'll call it error message, and that'll just be a message. We'll say an error has occurred, and then we're just going to tack on, we're going to concatenate on the error code, so error.code, and then we're going to say navigator, I can't type today, navigator dot notification dot alert. So we're just using the device's internal notification system. Error message, null, and for right here we'll just say, oh no, this is just a dialog box. Alright, so that's all we're going to do for the error. So the last thing we need to do here is create the upload file function, which gets called right here. Okay, so function upload file, and that's going to take the file as a parameter, and we're going to say variable ft. Now what we need to do here is create a new file transfer object so that we can transfer the file to a remote server. So we're going to say new file transfer and path media file dot full path, and name equals media file dot name. And you can look up all these objects and methods and properties on the Capture API documentation page at docs.phonegap.com. Alright, so what do we want to do now? Now we want to take the file transfer object, we'll say ft.upload, and we have a bit of code to write in here, so I'm going to make it so we can read it. So we need to say path, and now we want the location of the remote server, so mine's going to be http techguystaging.com/test/upload.php. So that's the file that I'm going to submit to or upload to. And I'm going to put in a function here with the result. I don't want that. One second. Alright, so in here I'm just going to console log a success. So we'll say console.log. We'll say file upload success. Alright, and then we'll do function error, and we'll do a console.log file upload failed. Oops, we need our quotes there. Okay, and finally, actually we need a comma right here and here, and then we're just going to say file name. Whoop. File name, name. Okay, so that's the name variable that's coming from here. And it doesn't really matter because we're going to change the name of the file in the PHP script. Alright. Now let's just move this. Alright, so all this is wrapped up within the parameters of the ft.upload function. So it's pretty much the path, if we have a result, if we have an error, and then the file name. So let me just look everything over. And I also just want to add just a little bit of, tiny bit of styling for the button. We're just going to say button border radius, and we'll say border of 2 pixels. Whoop. Dark gray border. Solid, and we'll say padding 5 pixels, 10 pixels. Alright, good enough. So let's save this, and let's just take a look at it in the browser, even though we can't use it in the browser because we don't have a camera. So we just have a take picture button, and obviously it's not going to do anything because this isn't a real device with a real camera. So now what I want to do is create the PHP script, and I'm going to open up FileZilla and go to my staging site. And I'm going to go to my public HTML, and I have a test folder, and I'm going to create a new folder called upload, and that's where I want my files to go, my images. And I'm going to create a new file called upload.php, and I'm just going to bring this file onto my desktop. I'll open it with Notepad++, and we just need to add a few lines, so it's fine if you don't understand any PHP. I'm just going to create a variable called new image name. Alright, because we're going to rename the image because we want unique names for all of our images, and I'm actually going to tack the date and time onto the image. That way that they'll always be unique. And we'll also use a function called unique ID. So I'm going to say new image name is going to be image underscore, and we're going to concatenate. So in JavaScript, when we're going to concatenate onto a string, we use a plus sign. In PHP, we use a dot. Okay, and we're going to use the date function, and we're going to put some parameters in here for formatting it. We're going to say we want the year, month, day, we want hour, seconds. Alright, so that looks good. That's going to format the date. And then we're going to concatenate back out of here, and we want an underscore. And we're going to concatenate again, and we're going to call this function unique, what is it, UNIQID. So that'll give us a unique ID, and then we're going to concatenate again, and we're going to put it's going to be a JPEG. So now what we want to do is when you upload a file to a PHP script, it gets stored in a temporary place, and you want to move the file to a permanent location, and you do that with the function move uploaded file. So the file, when it comes in, when we upload it to the script, it's going to come in the files array, or the files super global array, and we're going to have some brackets, and we want file, and it's going to have a temporary name. Alright, so file temp name, so that's the first parameter, and the second parameter is where we want to move it to. So I'm going to have it in my, and this is going to be a absolute directory. So mine is home. What the hell's going on? On my server, it's going to be home / techguy4 / public HTML / test / upload, and that's that upload folder that I showed you, that I created. Let me make this a little wider. Alright, so now after that we want to concatenate the new name. So we just do a dot, and then we'll say new image name. Okay. Alright, so that should be it. I'm going to save this and re-upload it. So when we use our app, the images should get uploaded to this directory. Alright, so I'm going to have to create another video so that you can see me install the app and then take the picture. So let's see, now we want to actually upload our files to our Git repository. So make sure you're in your test app directory or wherever you're developing. We're going to say git add all. We'll say git commit am commit, and then git push, and then my credentials. Okay, so now we can go to phone build. I'm sorry, it's not phone build, it's build.phoneGap. And I'm logged in as on, actually no, this is the right account. Support, yeah. Alright, so I'm going to update the code by pulling from the latest repository. Click on that. Now we have to wait for our APK file. Alright, so if we click on APK, we can download it. We'll just replace this one. And to get it on the device, my device is plugged in, so if I go to a computer, actually it's not plugged in. Okay, there's my device. And I'm going to go to the Android folder, and that's where I want to put that file. So where did I put it? Downloads. Copy that, paste it in there. Alright, so now I just have to go into my device and go to the APK installer, install it, and then we can run it, and I'll do that in the next video.